Should you change business venture on the Innovator visa or on the Innovator Founder visa? Well, I've helped clients recently where they wanted to change their business venture entirely, and even those who wanted to switch endorsing bodies. Now, if you do so, then this would likely, in most cases, entail an extension. In other words, the change would be indicated when you extend your visa. And there's a section in the extension endorsement letter covering this. So it says the applicant during the previous period of leave and with the permission and agreement from the endorsing body has changed a business venture and continued to develop this new business. But you could, after that, apply for settlement. So you'd be judged against the second business plan rather than the first. Both, that is, by the Home Office and by the endorsing body. So I've helped people switch endorsing body and apply afresh under the Innovator Founder visa. Now this does usually trigger an inquiry into what your achievements were under your first business plan. In the case I dealt with most recently, that was fine. I hadn't worked with him for his first visa application, but he came to me when some challenges had come up and I helped him start afresh with a new endorsing body on the Innovator Founder visa. But prevention is always better than cure, so the original business plan should ideally not be too narrow and linked to a single product idea, which is super specific. Some of my clients have mixed consultancy and product businesses, so where the product is closely linked with the consultancy offering. And this is one way of achieving sufficient flexibility to ensure that you can avoid having to switch later on. So the idea of consultancy and product, how are they related? So you've got services businesses and product businesses. The disadvantages of services businesses is that they're usually not deemed to be scalable, because in a service business you're selling your time for money or you're selling other people's time for money, more or less, particularly with a consultancy where often the main pricing model is an hourly rate. So that's not by its nature scalable. A product, on the other hand, especially software products, can sell and increase, several fold in scales without a corresponding increase in your expenses necessarily beyond, basic notional hosting expenses. For some businesses, I do have clients who have software businesses where the hosting costs are very expensive, like in the fintech domain, for example. But this question of how you calibrate the mix of consultancy and product is important. Now, I said the disadvantage of services is the scalability aspect, but there's also a significant advantage of services and especially consultancy, and that is cash flow. Products take a very long time to release, usually, and even if you have your initial traction and your initial free users before you start upselling a pro version, you can be looking at a year, 2 years or 3 years before you make revenue. Now, this can become an issue. I do have clients who approach me, again, where I haven't necessarily worked with them at the beginning, and there are maybe issues later on when they're applying for indefinite leave to remain, and they haven't started to make sales yet, for example. Now, you must be trading in order to get indefinite leave to remain. You must have started trading. What does trading mean? Well, I have a case on at the moment where I'm assisting someone with a sole representative refusal. Again, I didn't work with him at the beginning. He for the initial visa application, so this is later on. But he's had a refusal on the basis of that he was not trading on the sole representative visa. Now, this brings up an issue as to what the meaning of trading is. Now, the Home Office seemed to interpret that as being making sales, so not only incurring expenses, but actually making sales. So you need to have, how much do you need to sell? Well, technically, when you're just looking at this requirement in isolation, it could be a minimal notional amount. Of course, the broader requirement is that you make significant achievements judged against your business plan, but you must be trading. Now, if you've got to the position where you've got maybe a successful software product in terms of free users, but it isn't generating any money yet, then that needs to be looked at very carefully, because you could be in a situation where you are technically disapproved on the basis you're not trading. Again, I come back to the advantage of mixing in your product with some consultancy and services element, especially if you've already got a consultancy business and it's already up and running. Some of my clients are software engineers. They have consultancies. They're already making money from that. That model works for them, and they're launching a product, or they have a product which they're about to launch. And that's quite a nice mix. Everyone's different. I do have clients who are not software engineers, who aren't doing software businesses on the Innovator Founder visa, but a lot of the businesses are SaaS, software as a service related. But if you also have that consultancy element before launching, great. You can and if you can show some revenue which is linked to the product, all the better. In other words, if you're doing consultancy and there's no connection between your consultancy and the product that's set out in the business plan, then you can't take that income into account when you come to either extend or apply for indefinite leave to remain. They've got to be closely allied. So, typically when I'm starting to work with someone, I look at what they're doing already now and what they plan to do in the future, and look at how this can all be calibrated to maximize your prospects of success later on. Now, there's a further layer of complexity here, which is to do with the fact that you can work. So the advantage on the Innovator Founder visa is now you can work in certain qualifying skilled roles, but that income is not necessarily going to be taken into account, probably would not be taken into account in terms of your main gig, if you like, which is what you're doing under the Innovator Founder visa. Plus, that income is not going to be coming into, if you're employed, directly employed, it's not going to be coming into your company, into your company's corporate bank account. Only that money is going to be looked at later on. So be careful if you're doing some employment on the side. You've got to get the balance right between doing that employment and earning some money on that if you need to, or if that's what you want to do, and also actually making money, having cash coming into your corporate bank account. So I hope that's helpful in kind of outlining the different factors that you need to take into account. I'd be very happy to help you. If you want to get in touch with me, I have a consultation service. You can check me out on the link below. Thanks. Bye for now.